Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nerissa and I come here and just share basically my journey with my son who is on the autism spectrum. And in this video, I want to talk about the things that I learned just after diagnosis. The things that I learned that were very, very important for me and my family and for our son's development. The first thing that I had to learn was to be vulnerable. I had to learn to show people that I need help. There was no need to gloss over my trauma. I just needed to address what I was going through. I needed to just be myself and show people, walk with people through my traumas, through my pain, through my denial. That I had to learn. I remember there was a time when I would try to behave like to gloss over trauma, to pretend as if everything is fine when deep down things were not okay, especially with me, and acknowledging that my son is in this condition and is going to need me to support him. For some reason, because of denial, I was very resentful for myself. I started questioning myself, what is it that I didn't do right to raise this child, to end up giving birth? What is it? I started going back to my days when I was pregnant and started looking what really happened, what transpired when I was in gestation, what could have gone wrong. And I kept beating up myself. And while I was doing that, I was not even getting help. I was not being transparent to people, to those around me, even to my husband. And I had to learn that I need to let people in my space, let people into my feelings, let people know what I am going through. If I am going to get help, I need to let people know my concerns, my worries, my insecurities. I had to learn that. I remember the other day when I was going to drop my eldest son at his school teacher asked me if I was fine. And for some reason, I just broke down and I started crying. Sometimes you go, when it's school run, you just go to the school, you pick up the child and you go into the car and you drive home. Then there's these days where I'm actually thinking that it was a very emotional day. We had gone for therapy. The social worker had also come home. My son those days was breaking quite a lot of things because he has also behaviors of concern. One of my Facebook friends said to me, we don't have to call them challenging behaviors. Let's call them behaviors of concern. So it was that day where it was just a roller coaster from morning to by the time I needed to go fetch his sibling from school, I was already overwhelmed, so overwhelmed that I did not even realize how I drove from home to my older son's school. And when I got there, my son's teacher, the elder son, Gracious, said to me, how are you, Nerissa? And I said, I'm okay. And I said, how are you? And I said, I'm fine. Where is Gracious? Gracious was playing in the playground with other classmates, with his other classmates. And she said, you know what? Can you please just stay there? I want to talk to you. Let the other parents fetch their children. I want to talk to you after this. And when other children had left and we were just the two of us in the classroom, she said, before I call Gracious, I want to talk to you. How are you? When she asked me the question the third time, that's when I actually realized I needed help. I needed help, and I needed to just be honest with how I was feeling with the whole situation. I needed to vent. I needed to be vulnerable. I needed to look myself in the mirror and just talk to myself and have those catch-up talks, self-talk with myself, and find exactly where I was. Because at that point in time, I was not even aware of myself. I was not even aware of myself. I was just rolling, really. I was just rolling day in, day out, and just doing what I'm expected to do. But I was on self-awareness, I think I was on -10. I was not even aware of myself and how this denial, how everything that was going on, this new lifestyle of having to work with professionals, how that was getting me overwhelmed, how that was draining me, how that was making me feel like I am a failure. And for a very long time, I realized that maybe there's really nothing in life for me, and there's also nothing I can offer. And I remember in that conversation with that teacher, she said to me, Nerissa, you have a life to live. This is just a diagnosis. This is just a diagnosis. I'm not trying to minimize the impact that it has on you, but I want you to know that this is just one aspect of your life. There's so many things that you have to attend to, and there is so many things that you are doing so well. There is so many things that you are doing so well. I tell you, in that classroom that day, that's when I realized, I broke down and I started crying. And she said, it's fine, I want you to cry. I actually want you to be crying as much as you can do, because at the moment you are trying to play the brave mom. Because also there is this statement that was playing in the back of my mind. I think I had heard a lot of, you have to be strong for him, you have to be strong for him, you have to be strong. No, if you are the mother and you do this, what about him? If you are the mother and you do this, what about him? You have to. So I was just carrying this belief system that says I have to be the strong one for him. And in being strong, I didn't realize that actually strong people also break down. Strong people are vulnerable as well. They make themselves vulnerable so that they can be helped. And in that conversation that afternoon, this teacher made me realize that being vulnerable is not a weakness. Being vulnerable is a sign of strength, is a sign of acknowledging that, yes, I am a capable person, but I do not have everything under control. There are some things that are completely out of my control. And I remember her saying to me, I want you to go back home and find a notebook where you just list the things that you know that this one is within my control and this is not within my control, and start focusing on those things. Give so much attention to those things that you know that this one is within my control. I can control how it's going to be done, and I can control the process. I can control when it's going to be done. I can also control why it should be done. But then there are some things that I know that these ones I don't have control at all. Once you classify those things, you're going to realize that you're not going to be as frustrated as you are. I remember very well that conversation, we had it on a Tuesday afternoon. I tell you, by Friday, I already had started looking at life completely different. I already started looking, because when I sat down and started noting down the things that were within my control, I actually realized that I had not totally lost control over my life. Because what I thought I'd lost control was just 1 or 2 or 3 things. But I did so many things. I remember I listed about 13 things. I had to list down the things that I was so good at, that I was doing very, very well. And as I did that, it improved my mental health state. It improved my self-awareness, and it also helped me to build stronger relationships, because in doing that, I actually realized that I had so many people around me ready to support me. But because of thinking that I'm just alone, I was not looking for help, and I was actually shutting people out. People who really wanted to give me the help, people who had advice, people who just wanted to give me support. I was shutting them out because I was not vulnerable. Because sometimes the danger of acting strong, the danger of acting that everything is fine, people will not check up on you because they know, Nerissa is on top of the game. People will think you are okay. When you give people a picture, an impression that you are okay, they will relax. They say, oh, okay, we don't have to worry about Nerissa. She has everything under control. So when I started being vulnerable, breaking down whenever I would feel overwhelmed, I actually started getting enough help. When I started talking, and I would just talk. I remember even when no one has asked me, I would just say, I'm so concerned they say my son is autistic. I'm so concerned they say this. And at that time, I would use a lot of the phrase, they say, like they are accusing him. Not this is what is the situation on the ground. I would just say, they say this about him. They say this. They say we must do this. The ones who diagnosed him, they say this. And also referring to the social workers who were coming. So there was this defensive mechanism. I built a wall around myself because of not being vulnerable, which I then learned I needed to just break that wall. I need people to find it comfortable to talk to me about my son's behavior. I needed people around me, my friends, my fellow moms to the older sibling. I needed them also to be comfortable when they're around me, to be able to say, oh, okay. And as I opened that room for them to be able to talk to me about my son and his diagnosis, I realized some of the parents whom I thought had no clue of what autism is, they also had other children whom I was not aware of who were on the spectrum. And some of them were older, and some of them were younger than my son, but he had known about the condition, and they were in a better place to even give me advice. They started telling me what to do and what to avoid to do. And now, hearing that from another parent perspective, it really boosted my confidence, and I started realizing there's actually a world full of autistic people. And then I would, wherever I go, I would actually just realize, oh, okay, this one. And these parents also introduced me to other people. Then I realized there was so much support for me available at the time of diagnosis. I had a lot of people that would just tell me, oh, okay, if it's this, don't worry. And some of the situations or things or behaviors that my son would exhibit, I did not have terms for them. For example, I did not know what is autistic stimming. I did not know what is autistic meltdowns. I did not know what is masking, autistic masking. I did not know all those terms. But my son was doing that, was exhibiting that behavior. And I had to learn from other fellow parents, and also continuing working closely with professionals. So I want to encourage somebody this afternoon, this morning, this evening, depending on what time you're watching this video, that do not be ashamed to be vulnerable. Do not be ashamed to show that you are weak, because in those moments of weakness, that's where you're going to get strength. In those moments of weakness, that's where you're going to get the support that you really need. Trying to act strong can really harm you in the long run, can really disturb your growth it can really interfere with your support system. When you try to act strong, you're actually closing people out of your life, and that is not good for you. You need people around you. You need people that can call you and ask you. You need also to people that you're accountable to, that you are okay, that can ask you all those probing questions. And yeah, that is what I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm looking forward to see you in the next video. You keep well, and remember, there is nothing wrong with being vulnerable. Strong people are also vulnerable.